So today I would like to discuss about some elements of how organizations are going to behave or what the impact of COVID is going to have on compensation and benefits and total rewards in 2021 and beyond. So I think that post-virus, organizations will have to build some form of redundancy in their workforce. So we have realized that being very lean is important, but in many ways, when you end up being in a true crisis, like what we saw last year with the COVID, we realized that if we don't have any form of redundancy, we're in very much risk from the organization. Imagine some of your essential workers falling sick. Imagine some of your essential employees, even in senior management, not being able to work. So I think organizations are going to have to find ways to either have employees who can do two jobs or replace a colleague if the person is not there. They will have to train their employees. They will have to create a pool of freelancers, whatever, but they will have to think about organizations that allow them to have some backup on their essential workers. And I think the COVID has also made us realize, talking of essential workers, of what we do consider to truly be strategic positions and to truly be essential workers. And so we will surely have a shift in how we value work, and that will have in the coming years an impact on job evaluation criteria, an impact on maybe the pay differentials between the top of the hierarchy and frontline employees. And hopefully we'll come to an acknowledgement also that some of society's issues that we have witnessed, and especially, for example, in the US in 2019, where we saw millions of people lose their jobs, and then at the same time, the CEOs of the big tech organizations make literally trillions of dollars, while hundreds of millions of people across the world were losing their job and facing financial destitution. So I think as organizations and as HR, we have a role to play in that. Obviously, I'm not saying everybody should be paid the same across all jobs and so on, but I think as Comp and Ben and as HR, we have a role to play in trying to make sure that we don't forget some parts of the organization. Just because we need to focus on executives, for example, doesn't necessarily mean that we need to forget essential workers. Another thing that's going to happen is, as many people have argued already, COVID has accelerated some trends that were already taking place, that we see through automation, digitization, the application of artificial intelligence and machine learning in organizations. And so jobs will be profoundly impacted in how they're structured. And we need to look into, are we going to look at jobs as we do nowadays, or more focus on tasks, and tasks that are human-centered or tasks that are process/automation-centered. And this will surely have an impact. I've participated in a number of conferences this year, and I heard some thought leaders from other big consultancies, strategic consultancies, talking about pay for skills and things like that. I think this is something which is going to come. It will start by the technical skills because they're the easiest to define and to evaluate and to assign some kind of value. I think everything that has to do with what we call soft skills, which personally I hate this word, but let's say behavioral skills are more difficult to evaluate. So it's going to take a little bit more time, but I think this is really what's going to make the difference in organizations in the future. And we're definitely heading in a direction where organizations are going to pay more attention to pay for skills. Another thing that will emerge more strongly in 2021 is the focus on employee recognition, and especially peer-to-peer solutions. As we move into a work organization which is less siloed, less vertical, and where, especially in a remote environment, people will have to establish those relationships with others outside of their direct organization in order to be able to do their job properly. Peer-to-peer recognition systems will definitely play a big role in order to maintain engagement and motivation for employees. Obviously, we've all heard great talk about better focus in 2021 as well on employee well-being, and especially aspects of mental health and financial well-being, which are going to be very important in the future. It's a massive shift in some parts of the world where, especially when we talk about mental health, that has not been a very easy topic to tackle. But we will not be able to close our eyes and pretend that those issues are not there. So companies will have to get ready for that, and that will come back on us in the performance and reward scene. Performance management will also change because we will have to rely less on just the evaluation of a line manager at the end of the year. As work is evolving and becoming more project-oriented, teams are more agile and so on, it will be more and more based on team criteria, and this will also have an impact on incentive design. I think we will see more group incentives rather than just purely individual incentives, as it becomes more visible that collaboration, communication, cooperation are crucial behaviors that really have an impact on the organization, rather than simply relying on one's own capacity and ability to work. So I think those are some of the trends that we're going to see. Another thing which is going to emerge as organizations try to continue to manage their costs, they will try to find alternative ways than to just have direct employees. And so as HR, and especially in Comp and Ben, we will have to figure out how we can engage and pay and reward and motivate people who are at the fringe, you know, freelancers, outsourced people, contractors, and so on, who are technically not our employees, but as an organization, we still want them to adhere to the values, adhere to the vision, and support what the organization is trying to do. So we will have to, as Comp and Ben people, we will have to find ways to better serve that population who is still very often feeling undervalued and is not necessarily being treated in a manner which is as respectful as for main employees of the organization. So this concludes my trends for 2021 in terms of compensation and benefits. I look forward to your comments. Please post below your ideas on what the future of the function is going to look like. I'm very interested to read about that. Thank you very much, and see you next week.